Rage on that beat, going crazy.
All right, so first jig up here is the Bomber Craw. So as you can see, if we look at it closely, it is, I guess, I would call that a standard green pumpkin. And it has a little bit of an orange flash behind it. So to me, this is a color in the lineup that I actually have never used and don't use. And getting to see it up close, you can see there's a little bit of an orange fleck in the head. Looking at it up close, what I can tell you is that the orange isn't nearly as pronounced as it seemed in the online photos. Like when you look on sites like Tackle Warehouse and Omni and Hookup Tackle, whatever, website you buy your gear on. Yeah, this one, the orange isn't so pronounced, so I'm kind of digging that. This isn't one that I would normally gravitate towards, but seeing how minor the orange is in it, I don't carry a lot of orange jig trailers, so having that little flash of orange, especially a lot of the water I fish has a lot of perch and a lot of bluegill. It's a good color. So let's go on to the next one. This is the black and blue, and I think it's, goes without saying, it's pretty standard. This one is one you don't really need to see up close. But, it's nice to be able to see how they treat the fleck in it. It's a standard striking black and blue. So this isn't something where I think people are dying to know what's going on with it. But you can see there's a little bit of blue fleck in the head, a little bit of blue fleck in the black strands, and a little bit in the blue strands. So there's that one. Next up is, I believe this is Blue Craw. This is one of my favorites in most baits. So, it's a green pumpkin, but what's nice is, I don't know, it's like this iridescent blue that, it doesn't really show up until, light hits it at a certain angle. To me, there really isn't a color that gets much more fishy than this. This is, kind of a staple in all of my soft plastics and pretty much all of my baits other than hard baits. And you can see it's got a little bit of blue there on the head. So again, this is just so you can see up close what you're dealing with. Again, this is definitely a green pumpkin shade. This is the one that I also use. Really, this and the Blue Craw are the two that I always have in my arsenal. So you can see this one's, again, this is their green pumpkin. I gotta be honest, I like green pumpkins like this. I'm a fan of the two-toned approach to a green pumpkin because, I'm never really sure. To me, green pumpkin isn't really green and it isn't really brown. It's in between the two. And since this is just, it's a little bit of each color. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if you're picky about your green pumpkins like I am, this is a nice jig just because it kind of covers both of the important crawfish bases, at least, where I live here on the East Coast. They're either brown or they're green. You don't get a lot of oranges and reds and blues in your craws. What you can do with this is just, add, you could really just probably get away with two of these jigs color-wise, but this one's a nice one where you can just add the trailer that hones it in a little bit to your craw species, and I think you're good to go. And if you have blue craw. This kind of covers, you know, your bluegills. And, you know, I'm starting to become a fan of this. You know, this could really cover bluegills and perch and crawfish. Not a big black and blue guy. This is their peanut butter and jelly. I think they call it peanut butter bug or something like that. But this one I was pleasantly surprised with. This is another one that I haven't bought this jig in. I've only had it in 3 colors up till now. You know, it's a good brown. It it has the tiger not flash, but the tiger pattern in the brown, which I like for something that's, you know, imitating a craw. And it's got a really good June bug there. You can see it's purple, but again, with the right lighting, the green flash comes out. And, you know, I just think things like that are fishy. Anything that color shifts and that's two-tone, to me, it's a solid way to go with most baits. So I could see using this for the stained water approach, and, you know, I could really ditch out on the black and blue, because this, you know, if you look at these 2 colors, to me, they're both dark. They're a good dark contrasty presentation. I don't know that you'd need to carry both, to be honest. And then this is their watermelon red flake. You know, I've had this one, and it's actually tied onto one of my rigs right now. I gotta be honest, after seeing the bomber craw, you know, with its orange flake, I think honestly I could just nix this out and keep it to just a few of these jigs, because it's kind of a hideous watermelon to me. It just looks too, I don't know. It's not the greens that I'm, you know, I'm pretty picky about my shades. I mean, I really get a lot of confidence when it's the right shade of watermelon. And to me, this is just a little off. I don't know. I think you can get your watermelon red from your trailer. And then what you could do is just put your watermelon red trailer on, like blue craw or, you know, one of the other colors that have a little bit of flake in it, if you really need the watermelon red. So that's the colors up close. It only comes in 6 colors. So I'm going to talk to you now. I'm going to go on the other side of the table, and we'll talk about what it is about these jigs that I'm obsessed with. All right? Because they are pretty special in my book. All right, so let's do a little bit of a deep dive on why do I think so highly of these jigs. So first off, let's get a color that kind of shows the jig's body a little bit better. All right, so first up, you would call this it's not a micro jig, okay, but it is most certainly not like your typical cover finesse jig, which they usually have like a 3/0 hook that would come out, you know, maybe out about this far and have a little bit more of a gap on them, and maybe a slightly beefier hook, but not really. I mean, this hook it's sturdy enough, I would say, to really for everything except the heaviest cover that you can come across, where you're using like braid and you're, you know, trying to pull big fish out of really sticky cover. So this isn't a hook that worries me. I'm never concerned with that. You've got the right line and the right rod and the right reel, you're fine with this. Why I like this is I'm not a fan of full-size jigs unless I'm fishing them around structure or around cover. I don't have confidence in their ability to get bit in open water. And that's just that's personal. That's not the right answer. That's the right answer for me. I am confident when I use either a mini jig or a finesse jig or a compact jig. Those are the jigs that I like. And those are what I like to fish around cover and in open water. So again, I really only use full-size jigs. I use the 4/0 version of this in a 1/2 ounce for pitching, and I use the 5/0 hook version of this in 3/4 of an ounce for flipping. Okay, and then for my open water finesse presentations year round, this is my go-to jig. So let's talk about the merits of the jig. The weed guard, you know, they're kind of wonky looking when you get them. They're not, they don't look beautiful, but they're just soft enough that when you pull it over cover, it with the weight of the jig, it won't let it, you know, the hook fall down through the guard and get snagged. So that's what I like. That's sort of my test, is if the weight of the jig can rest on a limb or on something and the weed guard can keep the hook point off the limb, that's where I want it to end. You know, I don't want it to need more pressure than that. So if the weed guard is just enough to keep this from getting hung up on its own weight underwater, then that's enough of a weed guard, okay? Again, I shorten it up. The hook's an owner hook with the cutting point. That's the whole lineup of the Strike King structure jigs have the owner hooks with the cutting point, which is, you know, it's an awesome hook. Like I said, it's pretty beefy for a 2/0. You know, I mean, I'll sit here and try to bend it out for you, and I'm pushing as hard as I can. And I didn't bend it. Left a nice mark in my thumb, but I didn't bend it. So you have to imagine, okay, a lot of people, when they think about big fish, let's say like a 10-pounder, if you're not boat flipping it, a 10-pounder doesn't weigh 10 pounds underwater. It's physics, because bass have ballast just like a submarine. Otherwise, if a bass weighed 10 pounds underwater, they'd never get off the bottom. So they are neutrally buoyant. You know, now they do have a tail and they do have power, but you're not holding a dead weight of 10 pounds on this. And I guarantee if you hung a 10-pound weight from this hook, it's not going to bend. So like I said, you'd have to have a massive fish in heavy cover with braid to really do any damage to this hook. But it's a 2/0 hook. So that's beautiful. The weed keeper, the trailer keeper, it's a good design. It's not just a triangle. It's got that little bit of like a scoop point on it. So that's enough for me. My favorite is like a double wire keeper on jigs, but I understand that Strike King they can't do that. And sometimes it's nice to have the weight of the lead head spread down the shank a little bit to give a jig a little bit more of a horizontal fall instead of a total nose down fall. So there's some merits. Now, really, what it is about this jig, okay, this is why this is what is the defining feature of this jig, and I think why a lot of people like it, but it's why I like it more than anything else. I mean, I would say the structure jigs are my staples from Strike King, all three of them, whether it's finesse, pitching, or flipping. And then there's a couple other, you know, Beast Coast and Picasso offerings that I like that are just, you know, real specific applications, you know, like football heads for bottom dragging. But if we're just talking all around, I'm going to cast it, I'm going to drag it, I might pitch it, I might flip it around a dock. Honestly, I love this. So here's the best feature, okay? And this is really important. And this is what defines the Denny Brauer jigs. This is the defining feature. One, it's a 0-degree line tie. So unlike other jigs where the line tie comes up at like 30 degrees or at 90 degrees, this one goes straight out, okay? And it's hidden. Let's see if we can get it to focus. It's hidden in the head nicely, okay? So that's as pointy as any Texas rig weight. That's as pointy as any Texas rig weight, like if you're fishing a worm. Doesn't get pointier than that. So it comes through cover beautifully. I mean, the Cobra head is awesome. It stands up nice because it's got a nice foot pad on the bottom. It's got a great shape for coming through cover. It hides the line tie really well. But this is what it's all about right here. Okay? Because it's a 0-degree line tie, you get a massive hook gap. I mean, there is a ton of room here to, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to clear any kind of line tie. All right. There's nothing here to clear or to pop a fish's mouth open. So let's say your fish, you know, and obviously this is reversed, but if the fish's lips close, you're not taking something like a 90-degree tie and banging his mouth open. You're just going, I'm through. And by the time you're through those lips, okay, because you're not popping anything, because it's almost like a needle nose goes right between them, and boom, you're into a hook. And there is a huge gap on a 2-aught hook. And that gap is huge on all of the Denny Brauer structure jigs from Strike King. That's the defining feature. That's why these are my go-to jig lineup. You know, so that's all the colors. I know it's only 6 colors, but I've learned more and more over the years that you don't need, really honestly, like you can go out with like 4 of these or 3 of them and just use jig trailers to manipulate, you know, the appearance of things. So all in all, I can't recommend them enough. The price is great. All the features are good enough. You know, okay, it's not a hand-tied skirt. You know, it's a band, but you know, I have to be honest, I've never been a huge fan of a super bulky skirt on any jig. I just don't like it. I don't think it's natural. I like a little bit of room between the strands just to let it sort of flow in the water and not look like a big mop. Okay, that's me. That might not be you, but I just wanted to do this to show you guys what these jigs look like up close and to see, you know, if they're useful for you. You know, if you're going online and you're looking at them and you want to know what do they really look like, you know, up close, like what's the differences, you know, that's what I wanted this to be about. So if you want to split hairs, okay, this is like a true green pumpkin. This is a true green pumpkin with brown. They're using the same strand in these two. This one has a tiger stripe to it, but it's a green pumpkin. And then the watermelons, to me, just it's too fake of a green. I'm not a fan of it. Black and blue, I don't know. Open water. Generally, I'm not fishing these in heavily stained water. I think you can just get away with, you know, the peanut butter and jelly because it's dark enough. You know, these are just dark jigs, and then put a black trailer on it with blue flake in it if you want to, you know, if you're really married to black and blue. And I'm just saying that to get around buying every color, you know. So yeah, I love it. You know, I've been using them for years now. So that's what it is. We're going to do more of these videos, and we're going to get into bigger lineups of soft plastics and hard baits and look at them up close and dissect, you know, like a whole line of jerk baits. We'll get every color and we'll look at them together, and we'll go through the whole lineup, and I'll hold them up and we'll look through the sides, and we can see how translucent or not, or how translucent or how opaque they are, and get a really good look so that you guys, when you're going to buy something, someone said, you know, here's what it looks like up close. Here's what you're dealing with. you know, this is the bait in 360 degrees. And then maybe you can make a more informed decision when you go to buy it and not get those weird colors where one, you know, you order it and you think it's real translucent, and then you get this $20 bait and it turns out to be this like just this fluorescent bright sparkly gold that scares everything in the lake. I don't like making mistakes with the colors. I like to really know what I'm getting. And, you know, websites do a decent job, but a lot of times on those white backdrops, it's not real life. So sometimes it's just nice to see it in someone's hand with like a flesh tone with it, so that you can, you know, that's like a universal color to us as humans. You know, like what a human hand looks like, you know, regardless of skin color, you know what a human hand looks like. So it's kind of easier to see what this jig might look like when you're holding it versus just, you know, silhouetted on a bright white background. So I hope that helped you guys, and have a great day, have a great night, whatever you're doing. I'd like to hear from you, okay, in the comments. I really want to hear from you what, you know, lineup of baits you'd like to see next. If you want to see more jigs up close, do you want to see some, you know, finesse soft plastics up close, some hard baits? Let me know, okay? Thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.